Are things averse to loading? Oh, those are just ads. Yeah, they're loading though. Oh. Aww. Same smile and similar noses. It could be bros. They could be. That's cute. Hey, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the cult. It is whatever you want it to be, baby. It is a choose your own adventure. And thank you so much for taking the time to stop by tonight. Ow. You get your name up on our anchor. And I hope you're having a wonderful start to your week. Thank you, thank you. Mr. Booyah. Hello, Mr. Gunther. Rubbish. They're so happy. They're like cute little old aunties, but they're uncles. Is that a cat's deli sign? I don't know what else it would be. Oh, maybe it's just the hat wearing that makes them look alike. So they look nothing alike in that picture. Nor in this one. Oh my god, it is the hat. That's cute. Aww. Their little friendshipy. You're so cute. What is in musicals? Harley? Uh-oh. Am I voicing her over? A bit of a two-liner song. I'll take anything with Harley in it. Thank you very much. Oh, I know this. Well, I don't know this song, but I've played it over reels. Dun, dun, dun. It has like a little bit of a little peep vibe to it. Harley Quinn. When I took Ringo out to go potty last night in full cosplay, I need to get him a red sweater so that he can be my little Harley puppy. We looked good together while I was in cosplay. It was nice. ILY August. Well, it's September now. In case we missed the memo. That's a better layout for my screen. See what Void is up to. Void went to the vet today. I weighed out the pros and cons of stressing her out a little bit. And she got blood work and her FIV and FELV test today. Which her blood work is excellent. And we're going to find out if she has little wormies. Hopefully not. I don't know how not, but hopefully not. Some of the kittens will be born with worms. But she's FIV and FELV negative. Whoa, did my stream just start and stop somewhere? It just showed offline. Why would it go offline? Is kick-upping? It's uncomfortable. It looks like it blurped out over on Twitch too. a few reports, not like a significant spike of numbers. That's silly. No, I don't know where anything is on my screen again. Reorganize. Better. Kind of. I'll take it. Put up void cam. Oh, program's already open. Hee hee. Like waiting for it to open up and load. It's already there. It's already there. Which spot is she in? I rethought the situation and decided to put a litter box back in there until she's ready to spawn the beans. And she's back to laying in the litter box, which, like, okay, you went through a lot today, girl. Car rides are a lot, but please stop laying in it. She does have cool spots in there, though, so it's not my original theory of she was just feeling warm. I don't know. Can I look at... do a hard disconnect or a soft disconnect? I did a hard disconnect. Oh, that's stinky. I wonder if that's OBS. It has to be on my end then. Or Restream's end. Did it send out another Discord noting? No, though, which is weird. I don't know. Today wants to be a strange day. More power to it. More power to it. They're gonna play some Doom tonight. I think we're about to walk into a boss chamber. I'm not looking forward to that. I believe that was mildly spoilered. And uh-oh. But let's go. Uh-oh, but let's go. Pardon. Pardon. Donk, donk, donk. Do. Passaged. It's a good game. Oh, I forgot I was gonna finish fixing my face. I'm not awake today. We have a short stream tonight. I updated the calendar because I need to try to be able to sleep tonight. I need to. I'm like collecting the possible hours, but it's just not coming to fruition. Keep waking up nervous, like, oh my god, are there kittens? I know it's gonna take longer than that, but I keep thinking it's gonna be like a 2-second process. And if I miss it, then the world is doomed. No puns intended. Some puns intended. Possibly. So choose your own adventure, only on Tuesdays. Only on Tuesday games night can you too choose your own adventure. Welcome, Cyogenics. How you doing tonight? Happy Tuesday. Cat doula on standby. I am. On standby mode. I'm anxiety girl, ready to jump to any conclusion in a single bound. It's one of my favorite little mini webcomics. Anxiety girl, able to jump to any conclusion in a single bound. Caffeine me. I could probably honestly go knock out 3 sips of tea ago. And I didn't want to. When the kittens are here, it's going to be so hard to... Probably the first couple of weeks, I'm going to be so paranoid about mom not stepping on them or them being okay that it's going to be hard to do any kind of big, good streaming. Trying to max in as much Club Cult time as I can before the baby's here. Before I go on maternity leave. I feel like doulas wear a lot of beads and like a poncho or something. I can see the beads with like crystals. Poncho definitely, if it's a water birth. Splash zone. Splash zone. I did ask one of my favorite techs at the vet today, like, how involved I should be. And she's like, stay close, but just don't intervene unless she needs you to. I was like, okay, that's easier said than done, and that's very, like, you answered my question, but in the most vague way, but I also asked a very vague question. So it's fair. Pretty sure Club Cult will just be happy with some updates via Discord. Y'all better be. Because cat taxes are all the taxes I'm going to be paying this month. That's a lie. I might pay some sales tax on things too, but still. Club Cult, you'll be the third to know when your baby daddies. Because Void will be the first and I'll be the second. So y'all will be the third to know. I'm excited. Kind of mad that I didn't or forgot to opt in for blood work when we were there on Friday. But I'm grateful we did it today. She was scared girl today, but she was good girl. I am proud. I am proud of the mamas. She's very lovey and boopy. And she has little love bites. She's so sweet. I only asked for passion fruit balls in my boba. And they did so much more. I love that. I think that's why I love that place so much. They're a little bit creative always and go like above and beyond. But so far have never given me anything gross. I think there's honey and mango ones in there and then some kind of jelly. I don't know what kind of jelly. Or maybe it's mango jelly. And peach chunks. Like, that's some hardcore booba. It's good stuff. All the other zoo members with good hearing and possibly some of the neighbors. When Serena yells, "Oh God, it's shitting time!" No, they'll just think I had too much early morning coffee. Accidentally made senna tea instead of regular tea. Oh, Tank definitely knows something is up, though. I cleaned up. Oh, is she booping around? The tent is moving. She's doing something. Tank was smelling me all over earlier. He's like, there's something on you and it's not mine. Oh, she just upbeat to her other spot. She was cozying in. That's her cool spot. I have a litter box in there again, but I'm gonna pull it out when it's shitting time. I just hope she does it during the day. Because then we can go to the vet and have help. Not just for me, but like for her too. She can get a little shot to make it all easier. I've only ever had the basic bitch boba, which I wasn't overly fond of. What's that, like milk tea boba? I think like the brown sugar milk tea boba is usually the most typical? Common? I don't know. Aw, she booped you guys. She said, "Good evening, Club Colt. Thank you for involving me in the Stream the Dreams project, along with my 3 bastards." The little bastards. Got a chunk of eyeliner in my eyelash. Look at that. There's a lot of eyeliner to get stuck on an eyelash. Christ and heck. Milk tea and plain tapioca. See, I don't feel like that would be good. When I get booba, I get either tea or a smoothie. I'll get a coconut smoothie one or sometimes a pineapple smoothie one. And then, or I like the tea one. Like peach tea. This one's peach and green tea. With chunks of peach in it. Like, very rarely do places go above and beyond anymore. And I like that this place does. They're worth the moderate road trip. It's like an extra victory because I get a treat at the end of the road trip. I need to get some sleep tonight. I look tired. Like, if I look up, it's fine. But if I face normal or, heaven forbid, look down, I'm tired. There's no hiding it anymore. And I'm stress breaking out. Like, oh my god. This is only kittens. Imagine if it was a human child. I don't think I'm cut out to do that. Had it and didn't like it, but also kind of poisoned the notion for you. Oh. Oh. That's understandable. You have something prepared weirdly once. And also, Bobo's expensive. It's not just like a cheap 99-cent Arizona, you know? You don't want to go out on a limb and get something yucky or waste money again. Exactly. Keep looking up. The eternal optimist. Be hoity-toity tonight. Look down at you all from my big nose. Hoity-toity. That's how we're gonna be all night. Where'd my chapstick go? Oh, you're under the tape. Alright, I could listen to this for hours, but we're probably sick of it. Swoop, swoop. We got trouble a-brewing. I hear the trouble coming. It's from Doom Eternal. And we are going to get shit rocked. So fucking hard. And I'm going to fail at this about 1,000 times. But we're gonna keep on playing. Because eventually we won't fail. Yay. When's my next album dropping? Where's our next studio session? Oh my god. It's been an interesting day. Both exhausted and have energy. Like, my brain could run 30 miles, but I probably couldn't. I probably couldn't run 30 miles in general. Unless, like, I had to for survival reasons. That's a lot of miles. That's a decent amount of mileage. It's a principle that you live by. It's even though you don't like something, you'll try it again at some point because tastes change. I call it the candy corn principle. Did you used to not like or like candy corn and then that changed? I like candy corn. Candy corn's good. I haven't had it in like forever though. It might be accidentally vegan. I don't think I've had it the whole time I've been negative dairy though. I feel like that's a good rule to live by. Good principle to live by. Because things are prepared differently different places too. Nothing is the same anywhere. I don't think we're gonna jump down there. I don't think we're gonna do that. Oh. Uppies. We did uppies. I used to like it and then stopped every Halloween. Try it again. You're very brave. Usually when I realize I don't like something 2 or 3 times, I just give up on it. You're very brave. I do remember liking candy corn though, but oh. Yeah, strong start. Oh no. Oh, guys. I did not go into that with any kind of preparedness. Oh my gosh. I hope that one day, one Halloween, maybe this Halloween even, you can enjoy candy corn again. Elevator boss is difficult. Elevators, for me, are difficult just naturally. Oh, I should have Ghostbusters this. Too much. Oh, okay, let's try that again. That was terrible. What's so big? Oh, what are you? Why is he gray? Why is he invisible? What the fuck? Bruv. That's not okay. Should have kept rockets out. Should have kept rockets out. I don't like it up here. Oh my god. Welcome, Spoops. How you doing tonight? Happy Tuesday? Tuesday Games Day? The Hellevator. Is that what it's actually called? I mean, that's an accurate description. I think those are spectras. No, they're invisible. They're invisible monsters. They're spectras. Does that mean they have special powers? Sneaky Pinky. Are they harder to get because they're all fancy and glowy? Or not glowy, like translucent, opaque? I don't know if it's me or the weapons toggle that wonks that out. Ah! Oh god. Where I just end up looking at the floor switching weapons. I don't know what I do to cause that. No health. An easy peasy lemon squeezy boy. I need more more voice. I need more weapons. I need to chainsaw somebody. Oh god. The force was strong with that rocket. I like the soundtrack in this room at least. Where do you want me to go from here, you stinky butt? What is your definition of forward? I have like half hiccups. They're not full hiccups. They're just like half hiccups. I'm herping. Over there? Oh yeah, he's like, come on over. The water's fine. The atmosphere is great. Oh, God. Sneaky Pinky, indeed. Doesn't he know? Well, I haven't touched up my hair in a while. I can't really be a Sneaky Pinky. I'm like a sneaky kind of orangey. Elevator is what they call it in Terraria when they dig a hole from the surface to hell. Oh. I thought that was the core. Funny thing is you can put a little bit of water at the bottom to break your fall. So you can go all the way that far down and then just bloop. And you're going for a swimmy swim. I've never even heard of Terraria. I was kind of assuming it was either a game or a movie, and I was about to ask, but Cytogenics kind of confirms that I'm thinking it's a game? Question mark? I'm not a builder, I'm a destroyer. Please. There you go. Oh wait, chainsaw. No, what the? Is there something below there? Just trouble. Just death. No biggie dealio. I mean, I like terrariums, and the name of it reminds me of terrariums, so that's exciting. It would probably be something that I would enjoy watching, but not enjoy playing. I'm not a builder, I'm a destroyer. I'm not a foster, I'm a fixer. Except now I am a foster, but it's besides the point. Do I need to shoot you? Yes. Release the Kraken. Oh god. 2D Minecraft. It's a 2D survival builder kind of game. Did it have plants though? Being called Terraria? I have expectations here. It looks like a train tunnel. Oh, open sesame? Huh? We just came in through there. What open sesame? I thought I saw something move when I did it. No, just the light changing. What? What is your witchcraft? Not that. Through the other way? No. Two at a time? What? Well, that didn't do it. You think I can be that agile in all of this suitage? And I still don't know what it's opening. Don't know what it's opening. Oh my god. Some of the plants would try to eat you. Were they Venus flytraps? Were they Serena flytraps? Part of the game is cleaning up the corruption in the world. Oh, I like that premise. That's a good one. I would say that definitely counts as planty stuff. Yeah, the light moves. But what else moves? Tell me your secrets. Tell me your secrets. Maybe I just wasn't fast enough. It didn't look like it was opening the big door. Running into the wall doesn't help. Both of the lights need to be pointed at the big door at once. I think this one needs to go first. I'm not fast enough! I do not have your zoomies. How do you want me to be fast enough for this? Is there a rock I can wedge under the bottom? That would be nice. This is rude. Open, you stupid fucking cunt. Thank you. Whoop. Big door. I feel like stuff is gonna happen in there. I gotta pee. Why thank you. Why thank you. I will be here to fuck around and find out all night. All night long. Da 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 da. I'm nervous. Burb. Where's Slavka? She's being good. What are you doing? Slavushka. Is she in here? I didn't think she was. She was earlier. Tiny demon! There you is. You want in? Come here. Okay. I don't know where he was, but now here you is. She's only being good because she's cranky with me today that she's not allowed in Void's room. She's being a little tiny demon to everyone today. I should have named her Lucy. Like from Disenchantment. Lucy. Lucifer. But no. Slavka. Lucy would have been perfect for her though. Oh, Ringo and Lucy in the sky with diamonds too. Oh, dang. I missed an opportunity. Her middle name needs to be Lucy. Slavka Lucy. Her name is Polish, but it sounds Ruski. I mean, that's where to go, but so many opportunities. It's literally nothing. Okay. The coin. The claw. I feel like Gunther would be the elfo she would pick on. No, it'd be a little kid. He has that childlike sense of wonder. Well, they're all Bean, but Voya's Mr. Bean. There's the Mr. Bean. He's such a cutie patootie. Elevator? Where elevator? I don't know when I started calling him Mr. Bean, but it just stuck. He's the Mr. Beanie baby boy. It reminds me of, I mean, I know it has horns and it's not a panther or leopard or whatever. I don't know. Cougar, sphinx, something. But it reminds me of an Aladdin, the Cave of Wonders. The Cave of Wonders. Hi, I'm Elfo. Hi, I'm Little Kid the Cat. This is the welcome wagon, this is the greeting, this is the good life, this is where we're at. It's my little endlessly optimistic baby. Chandelier fell down. Someone should probably fix that. Call maintenance. What do you want from me? To sit upon the throne. I am your king! I am the king of nothing, but I am the king. I am the king of nothing. But still the king. Okay, the fuck do you want me to go to? Like, what is your theory here? Down and away? Retrieve your crucible. Suck my dick. That's all the way down over there. What? What are you on about, crazy? Statue of dude in the back looks broken. Huh? We can't have come all the way up here for like literally no reason. And I don't think I'm supposed to jump down there. So, reveal to me your secrets. Reveal to me. Speaketh, telleth, teacheth. Wait, where's green? Green means go? Yee. Oh, is there something cooler up? She was swinging from the chandelier, and it all fell down. What the fuck was that supposed to do? What the... What? Oh, that was ridiculously lucky. I think. Are we going back down? Huh? That was literally the most perfectly I could have ever done that, and it was entirely accidental. I just saw green mid-jump and hit punch. Whoa. Oh, I thought he was a weird guy with no head. It's a rad suit. Good, what are you? What's going on here? It's just down a little bit. Just a little bit downstairs. Ringo, what the French toast are you doing? Oh, we got the Kong. We got the Kong. We got the good stuff. Final boss of only this level, though. There's still more levels. This is where we cue whatever that A Day to Remember song is. Let's go. Do 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 da na 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 na. Let's go. I feel like he's compensating for something with that pose. This level's the hardest. I would agree with that. I can concur. I didn't know way to go but down. You want me to jump all the way down there? Like all the way, all the way? Am I supposed to jump onto something here? I don't know. Oh. I'm not a strong swimmer. I'm not a strong swimmer. Oh wait, how do we do this underwater? Shit. I don't remember. There. Oh, dashes. That's what it was. No, get the thing. Then where do we go? Do we swim through the hole? Uppy dozy do. Uppy dozy do. Up a dub a dub a dub. Oh my god, congratulations. Thanks. I hate it. Fuck you. This is just rude. There'll just be a lot of sound effects for this going forward. Whoop. Ready to have some fun? Ghostbusters! Oh, there's two of them! Fuckers! Shit, shit, shit. There are nades when you need them. Just shoot at the wall. That's clearly, obviously very effective. Quit scritching me! That's not nice. Insufficient fuel! Your mom's an insufficient fuel. I just let him slap me. That was dumb. I'm guessing the trouble be yonder through there. Oh, I guess we could have climbed up from the side of the water. What was around what side? Is there something down? It's down. Down, down, down. Down, 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 down. That did nothing. Tried so hard, got so far. More Merc. When in Rome. No, you probably should have shot the thing up first. Where did you get up here from? Just here's to assuming that does something. I gotta dash down. That's stinky. How uncomfortable. Eh? Okay. I don't quite get it, but okay. I don't know what I'm doing is doing. I know nothing. That was poor use of time / resources. There was an attempt. That went okay. I don't want to use the most of this up. Who is spewing acid? It's not okay. It's not okay. We're gonna put a stop to that right now. You're not even giving me a chance to look around and see what the problem is. Allow me to assess the problem. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm gonna die. Honestly, kind of worth. Entered the room completely terribly. It's like, yeah, look at me. I'm fantastic. Your mom's an insufficient fuel. Oh god. Classic insult right out of Sun Tzu's. What about Serena and the zoos? Acid reflux must get really bad for demons. These bitches need a serious amount of Pepsid. Like, I have GI issues and I'm concerned. Bet they're all men. They won't go to the doctor for it. I'm just like, I'll fight it off. As long as I keep killing, I'll be fine. No, Ghostbusters! Damn it! It's not charged enough. Ah! Ma'am, you may not panic that quickly. Jesus, oops. Like, come down and play with me? No. Will we survive this? No. Oh. 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 There you go. That was pretty cinematic. Redemption arc. Oh god, fuck. It's not good on every level. You're right there, that's not helpful. He splooted and splooted his friend. Like the chunks of his essence took out the other guy. Something Grumble growled. What are you on about in there? Alright, where from here now? This room is so interesting looking. Like, it looks good, but it has so many random design elements. It has the cathedral-y ceiling. It has exposed ductwork or piping, whatever the fuck. It has paneled walls, but then it looks like steampunky over here. It's kind of like a painting. Like, it keeps your eye moving around the whole room. It's very oddly done, and then the lighting changes, and just, it's a weird layout. I feel like they had like extra Lego spare parts or something when they got to this point. It's like, well, how do we design this one? Take some of this from this room, take some of this from this room. We got some spare parts from over there. We got some piping we can run up here. Let's just put it all together. I feel like that is equally impressive. Like, there's all of these little minute details that, sure, I'm bitching that they don't really make sense. Well, softcore bitching. I'm musing. There we go. Softcore bitching is just musing. But it's all put together so interestingly. Like, down to literally just the way the light is captured. How it moves with you. It's amazing. I could never do something like this. I'm not that good. Can we just not go there? They elucidate their choices and reasons. It's really enlightening. I want someone to break down that room for me. It's very spare parts vibes. But it looks good! But it don't make no sense. I am in you. What do you want from me? The coin? Mastery tokens. Mastery tokens allow you to bypass active weapon mastery challenges and instantly activate weapon masteries. Use the mastery tokens on the active weapon mastery challenges in the arsenal tab of the dossier. Oh, we can mod guns. I was thinking the other night that we couldn't. Oh. I probably want to mod either the chain gun or the plasma rifle. That one's locked. Of course you're locked, you fucking stupid head. Superheated rounds. I guess we have a lot of those that I haven't done anything with. Alright, let's go shopping. Oh, you have to have all the other upgrades to do that one. It's stupid. We have a lot of coinage. Bloody reload speed. Precision speed? I thought we just fucked with the microwave beam. No, it's called Ghostbusters. Charge time and targeting range. Let's go. And concussive blast. Yes, you're going in the ghost box. Alright, we can do a couple more. Rocket launcher. Then something with the chain gun. Let's do lock on burst decrease. Energy shield. Dashing into heavy demons will cause them to falter. I don't think I'll end up doing that. 5 left. Why does it need to be an odd number? No mods for the BFG, because it's just a big fucking gun and it's fine on its own. I need 5 more. Why can't I do the 3 one? Oh, they're both locked. Hee hee. Meat hook recharge time. Didn't know the shotgun had a meat hook, so I just run into someone with it, and we're good. Okay. Still don't quite understand what you're asking me to do here, babe. I'm in a pool of lava. I'm in a pool of lava. I got distracted by shopping. Even when they say, oh, this asset we wanted to use again since it was only featured once. I mean, that's a fair reason to use it, though. Sometimes we just likes things. We just likes the things. It's a special shotgun. It draws you to the target. I don't want that. I want distance. Maintainable. Thank you very much. It looks like a pirate ship in here. Kind of. What the fuck do you want me to do over the... Jump. Punch. Shoot. Dance. Let me in. It's red. Usually green means go. Did I need to activate something? What are you asking of me? Watch. They just like make you wait it out and get really agitated in this room, and then suddenly the boss spawns. Power up the crucible. With what? With what? You do something with these? What art thou asking of me? You goofy baby. I don't understand you. I feel like this is probably ridiculously simple and it's just going right over my head. And that's fair. We're about to get our final weapon. Is it the soul cube again? I missed the soul cube. The soul cube was nice. Consult the old YouTube. I don't fucking know how to do this. I don't know. Terrace Nabat. Because I'm bad at it, and it's tearing us a new asshole. Consult the professionals. I don't know what I'm doing. It's a sword in this one. The sword. We already got the sword and the stone. It's probably something like pressing both joysticks in at the same time. Well, if so, that's too complicated for me. It's too complicated for me. Insert Sans laugh. Was I attempting to be roasted by Undertale fandom over on Twitch? That's interesting. It's a little weird. I walked past it. That sounds about right for me. Welcome, Panda. How you doing tonight? You're not supposed to step on the pad. You're supposed to walk up to it. So I'm getting fucked in the same way that I do with the devil in me. By not just pausing for a moment. Or consulting the experts, Panda. I have no idea how the fuck to make the next go. So just approach it? You're kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. We just approach it? What? I am befuddled. I am absolutely befuddled. What is this doing? Come with me, my love, to the sea above. I need to get way better at understanding moderation tools on Twitch. I don't want to enter everything manually. There we go. That's the problem. I'm too zoomy. Just a kitty cat. Nothing is ever as easy as it seems. Oh my god, that is the toggle. Just right in front of it. Alright, let's Excalibur this bitch. Suck up the lavas. Suck it up. You're gonna spawn a boss for me? Oh shit, we got no parachute here, son. Crucible is a melee weapon of extraordinary power. Side toggle to unsheath and press R2 to cleave demons. Each demon costs 1 pip. We have to trade 1 pippy per demon. Replenish the crucible's energy with crucible pickups found in the world. This is going to be so overly complicated. Okay. I mean, yeah, it's pretty darn effective. That's cool. Oh, need more power-ups. More power-ups! That was just a tad bit satisfying. Oh, don't burn my butt. Quit burning my butt. Oh, you're a big boy. And down you go. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. Oh, there's a porthole. It's not as awkward as I would have thought. Oh god. But there's going to be a lot of panic involved in this. When is there not panic involved? To be fair. Wait, what is going on here? Everyone. That's too much. I wasted all the good swipes on the little guys. And let me say, oopsies. I thought it was just a little practice arena. I was wrong. I didn't know all the big bad was coming out of there. That's why we play video games, Panda. If we panic in game, then we just naturally can't panic in life. You can only sequester your panic to one segment of life at a time. This arena is only swords. I think it's gonna have to be a combo. It's gonna have to be a split stream. There cannot only be one. Let us mentally prepare. Oh, golly gee willikers, Batman. Oh, golly gee willikers. I literally thought it was just a practice arena. That's what the little tutorial toggle made it sound like. And then all of a sudden there was a bunch of big guys and I had no sword left. Gotta budget it out. Oh, shh. I forgot to do something important. Pause. Pause. I forgot mines. Serena. Come on now. Cannot do that, especially not when you have an insane day tomorrow. She missed me. If there's anything that I can do in this life to make tomorrow's less stressful, it is take my goddamn meds on time, and I am not doing that successfully for like a good week now. It's a very red map. That's a trouble map. Welcome, Mad Topher. Doom, where practice is deadly. I don't know. It's never given me a practice arena except maybe at the beginning. I don't know. I disassociated the whole beginning of it. So I don't know why I thought it would give me that now, but I just assumed from the little tutorial. You know what happens when you assume? Make an ass out of you, make an ass out of me, make an ass out of everyone but the demons. The demons win. Demons won tonight. What are the little people on the map? The game just isn't big enough. They're little crosses that give me sword power-ups. Excuse me. They look like grave sites. They do look like little people from the tiny screen. We're just up in an airplane right now. It's a lot of asses. Not wrong. This is not the gun that I want for you. This is a bad start already. I don't know how far backwards I can go, but we're going somewhere. Ghostbusters! Oh, nope. So something's got to give me something here. You. Strong start. Portal. I don't know where this is gonna take me, but it's taking me. Replaces. I think I can only build up, what, 3 power-ups at a time? Oh, 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 so close. So close. And instead, just terrible. What is anywhere? What is hurting me? Who's hurting me? Yeah! He jumped out of the way of my sword! What a dick. Slice. Slicey slice. Oh my god. Oh my god. Everybody. Everybody needs to calm down. I need to chainsaw someone. This room is not chill. It is not chill. It is not chill. I need chill. Meow. Meow. Mommy feels the same way. Oh, no. You jumped out of my way. Stinky. What's up, babies? You want Uppy? Come here. Hi. I'm sorry. Mommy was fighting demons. It's okay. Gotta give my leg a bath now. Where do you want to be cozy? She's so cute and little. Tiny demon girl. Here to help us fight the demons. Oh, I still have music playing. Goober. It was kind of rocking with it. Not gonna lie. It was vibing. Slice. Slice and dice. Ghostbusters! How are you not deaded? You needs to be deaded. Okay, bye, Slavka. Is there a flamey guy somewhere making everyone turn red? Because I think so. Oops. I think I just blew myself up. She says, those are my people! Those are my people! Oh my god. This is terrible. Just right from the start, you are all up in my shit. It's like opening a toddler's bedroom door in the moment. Like, I'm awake, I'm alive, I'm ready for the day, let's go! Like, no, we don't all have that energy. I gave up. But yeah, this is so boring. It's so easy. This is awful. I need a calm entry. Holy fuck. Just gonna casually run past you. That might have been a waste. One of those that hit no one. Come on now. Let's do better than that. Oops, that was more sword than I meant to use. I'm not accomplishing anything here. If I wait too long, they're all gonna turn red. Chain gun was good. Wait, it was the smaller version of you that chain gun was good against. Come here. You little stinky shit. Chainsaw something. Need to chainsaw something. Need more ammo. Need more shmammo. No little guys down here? Little guy. Need a little guy. Need a little guy. Oh, you're a red guy. You're not a cross. Panic. Panic. No. No. I toggled out of it. No. 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 All of you. This is the worst family reunion I've ever seen in my whole life. I hate it here. Make it stop. Make it stop. Just make it stop. He's over there. Okay. I tried to run away and we bounced. We need him out of here. Like, now. Now. Oh, wait. Wait. This. Yes. Yes. No. No. God. There he is. No. No. Get back. Come back. Okay. Okay. You're done. You're done. I don't think I've ever felt so much in my life. I hate it here. We're just gonna do this old fashioned for a minute. I don't know what else to do. Hi, Slavka. Hello. Hello. Mommy gonna die. Honey. No, there's two of them. Kill me. Oh, we did, but I don't remember which game it was, but if you died to Gravitate, it would say Serena didn't balance. I don't think I've played that one, but I kind of want to just to see that now. Panic at the Demon Disco? Fuck yeah, it was. I have this one after the string on my... No, she's going after the zipper on my jacket. Okay. Oh my god. Family reunion was 2 out of 10. I'm not pulling Grandpa's finger again. No, we are sure the fuck not. There's many Doom missions. I fall down in every game. I fall down in real life. I fall down in every game. Void move? I'm a professional faller downer. I fall down and I get up again. You ain't never gonna keep me down. Oh wait, no. It's I get knocked down. That one. That's gonna be our Doom anthem. It's no longer dumb ways to die. Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba. I knew I was not going to be able to remember what the fuck that was. What a time to be alive. I get knocked down, and I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I don't know how Slavka feels about dancing. She's not a fan. Danny boy, Danny boy. And I'm Slavka and I'm gonna lick a leg. She doesn't understand it. Maybe she'll get used to it. It's small exposure therapies. Dancing the night away. Dancing the night away. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't think there was much time for dancing on the streets. She wasn't in Cats the musical. She was in Cats the survival zone. Get knocked down, and I get up again. Oh, you got the happiest butt. She jumped down. She did have the happiest butt. Are you using the litter box? What are you doing, Void? I guess. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Again. I've forgotten about this song for so long. It's too good. It's too good. How many times does he sing it at the end? Holy shit. Did he sing it those many times in a row, or is it just looped? How could he not tongue twister it? Doing that so many times. Knocked down, and I get up again. Ain't never gonna keep me down. Okay. Now we can survive, maybe. No more dumb ways to die. That's the new Doom song. The song was so on point in an earlier phase in life. I feel like this song, well, I mean, I want to express my happiness and joy and amazement at anyone who has reached a point in their life where this song no longer applies. But I feel like the song still applies to much of life. I was listening to Smash Mouth's All Star on my first stream last night and ended up screaming it. I was like, wow, this is a fun little song from Shrek, and now I find it so relatable. Hey now, you're a rock star. La 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 la. It's so worth a scream. So worth a scream. I'll tell the lyrics, I just repeat. I get knocked down, and I get up again. You ain't never gonna keep me down. Tyrus Nabad, you ain't never gonna keep me down. Let's go. I'm gonna die. Just to preface, but. She's Skamooch. Cat grandmaing is not helping. Oops. That one. There we go. It's the bath time. It's the bath time. The bath time. I'm glad that you can sing it nicely because I cannot sing it nicely at all. I can do the crazy car screaming version of it, but I can't sing it nicely. Oh, the beginning a little bit, but not the chorus. How did I think this was a positive starting point? Like, excuse me, Serena. Do you make choices in your brain? Do you think in the logicals? I don't think so. Sloosh. Ah. Oh, no. It wasn't for you. It was for you. I still can't tell if this is a strong start or not. Didn't really need to use that on him, but for convenience sake. Let's rock with some of that. Okay, so you just gotta remember that once you think it's getting a little bit better, it's not. It's getting way worse. Ghostbusters! Oh, except your big brother hit me. That wasn't cool. Guys. It's not okay. Not you. It wasn't for you. Damn it. What am I even shooting at? I need to save these and stop playing the way that I'm playing. I need to save these for, like, when we get to this point. Yeah, because that really did something. There it is. You. Honestly, just fuck you. Oh, shit. They're red now. I'm in a corner. I'm dead. Pardon. Oi. Alright, there has to be a method to the madness of this room. I no longer care about winning. I now only care about figuring out the order of operations. Just pretend the things aren't there yet. Oh, dang it. And fall down too. That's important. Okay, that's a little fast. Ghostbusters! Or not. This is so bad. This 50 Shades of fucked. Ah! Portal glitch. Not glitch, but I had so much fun doing that the first time I discovered that. Now I just find it very, very mentally confusing. Shit. Rockets for everyone! Rockets for everyone! Rockets for everyone. What did you think that would do? No. Out of fuel. Ugh. Some armor at least. Hey. Maybe don't blow yourself up while you're about to die. Maybe, just maybe. And try not to use the sword until we see the two big guys. The acid spewing dudes. Ah, yes. Good, Serena. Shoot the wall. Look at the little snaky motherfucker. That was better survival, though. Parentheses first. For PEMDASing this bitch. So I quit getting my ass kicked by this bitch. PEMDAS over ass kicking. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, but she's trying to figure this out. I so wish I could just bounce over them when I dash into them. Good lord. Oh, I've loved this gun for so long, but it no longer serves my purposes. Well, hi, guys. It's not where I was intending to go for any of this, but like, sure. Sure. It's so cruel to bring me back to life just for me to die again. It's so cruel. It's cruel. It's cruel, Brian. Ghostbusters? Not enough Ghostbusters. What you doing, Boobaloo? Okay. Well, you're just a little biscuit. I love you. You can come up if you want to. Doing great. Doing great, sweetie. This is terrible. He's like, look at me, I can chainsaw too. Fuck you. You can come here. Hi, you can come here. Come on. Come on. Do you want me to pick you up because you're a princess? Princess privilege? Come on. There you go. Launch. Okay. Were you just upset because I started playing the game and I didn't give you all the attention? So you got down? No, apparently I need a bath. Don't think you need to be so sparing with the sword. There's a lot of charges on the map. Maybe we'll start incorporating it sooner. You're so very cute. I was trying to determine, like, at what point is it necessary? There has to be a method to the madness. There has to be. I got knocked down, and I get up again, and then I get a bath from Slavka. I got knocked down, and I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I love that for you. I'm watching myself break out in hives in real time. And the roughness of her tongue and just the general irritation of slightly allergic to new member of the zoo. Because I'm always slightly allergic until I get used to them being here. That's lovely. Okay, leg needs bath now. Why are you wet? You made my pants wet. Why are you wet? You made my shorts wet. Why are you wet? Did you pee? Why did you pee on me? What did you get into? She's wet all on, like, the shoulder quadrant of her front left leg. Why are you wet there? Like, more wet than just grooming. Were you playing in the fountain? Maybe? Were you fucking around in the sink? Were you doing Charlie stuff? I thought I was going crazy for a second there. I'm like, why do my pants feel wet? Yeah, what did you get into? I don't want to know. I'll figure it out later. Can we not step on the keyboard, please? Baby, you're opening programs. Baby. Baby. Jinx, Rainbow. What? I've never heard of Rainbow Jinx. Reverse you, Jinx. You owe me a Coke and you can't go to the bathroom till I say. Well, that might be another unfortunate situation with wet pants then. Babies, you can't climb into keyboards. That's a no-nos. It's a no-nos. We learn. So this is what you get for making me dance, Mom. I did not want to dance tonight. Okay. Did Void just lay down? Yeah, she's still being a lump over there. I'm glad she's feeling more sprawly. I'm proud of her. Very proud of her. You gonna lay over on my desk? You're a good girl. But you made my pants wet. And just baby things. Just toddler things. Just little tot things. Oh God. Focus. How do you expect me to focus when you're right there? Oh my God. You guys. You guys. That's a bit much. It's all a bit much. Okay. Get got. No, fuck you. Oh, actually, fuck you too. Oh, we did make it up. Okay, cool. You can get the sword. And you can have a sword. And you can have a sword. No! 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 Do this right! Or don't! I don't have more sword. I thought I did. That went well until I didn't have enough sword. Oh no. Oh no! Hi. Do you want lamp? What do you want? Come here, you shiny bitch. Is this the hill that I'm gonna die on? Hi. Oh, you just wanted to share the chair? You're just a baby. You're just a baby. She's just a baby. We love her. Oops. Not a good idea to be in corners. Where'd he go? Where'd he go? There he is. Okay. Zoom! Run! I don't know what I'm doing. I know we're in trouble soon. Big boy! I just hate you. That was for my own personal vindication, satisfaction, whatever you want to call it. That was personal. Oops. Don't need rockets anymore. At least not at the moment. I keep thinking those are things I need to shoot at. Nope, nope, sword. Yep. Sword and stone. Don't put yourself in a corner. Don't do that. Need to chainsaw, motherfucker. Need. Shit. Where is that father mucker? He's just trying to get to the flamey guy. She does not know what she wants. She wants to lay on my pajamas. She wanted to be close to mommy smells, she just didn't know how. Or the where, or the why, or the what even. Ghostbusters! Do-do-do-do-do. No corners. You know better than that. You know better than that. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Just kidding. No, it's not. Oh. You bitch bastards. Bitches! Beach, 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 beach. I don't like it here. There's too much explodies. I cannot mentally keep track of all of this. Oh, really? Die. The first step to survival, and then I'm pretty sure the big guys come out after this. Then we're in trouble. I don't even know what happens after that because we haven't survived that far yet. Let's do that. Weapon point acquired. Okay. Music is calming down. Where's the other guys? Where are we shooting fireworks? What changed? Poor guy, he's like all banged up and still going. There was more, I thought. Did the game give me a break? It knew I was bad. Come with me, my love. No more sword for you, Serena. We survived? Question mark? Welcome, Electra Rob. How are you doing tonight? I'm sure they're wonderfully candid, and I'm so sorry / you're welcome. My personal favorite is, ah! They didn't spawn because you killed the spawner Yes! I'm a pro. Didn't we know? Did I go through there? Did we come up through there? I don't feel like that's right. No, the go was the other side. Oh, the porthole. Oh. We did it! We're free! Dobby is free! Dobby is a free elf! We did it! We did it! Oh, that was delicious. That was a terrible level. I never want to do that again. Sub goal next time we play this and we get to this level. It's gonna require being contracted in. Hold and continue. Continue. I love the little floppy loading screen. Oh, there's the little cheat codes things. Do we really get God mode? Even though I'm awful, my ego is too ego to play on God mode. But is it a thing again? Oi. Oh, well, thank you. Oh, well, thank you. I'm surprised we survived. I didn't think that was going to happen tonight. Host city of Necraval. The city of the damned.
That is why you must bring Vega through the void with you to Urda.
Hopefully Vega's reliable.
I'm detaching myself from the ship's systems.
It's probably something you just toggle on or off. We're not actually typing in God mode somewhere. Or whatever the infinite weapons one was.
I will reconfigure the portal to Necromol for you.
I'm not even going to tempt myself and look at it until we're done.
Anything else before we begin our journey to Urda?
Yes, God mode without God mode. This is your last opportunity to unlock items and explore the fortress until your mission is complete. Oh, but I love my ship. It's a good ship. It's a good ship, Lollipop. It's very Sailor Moony, but like evil. I know I think I can do things with the battery and whatnot, but like, and 5 of these again. Oops. Sure. Oh, I had things to do with this too. Oop. I've only selected one. That would have been nice. That would have been smart. I don't know how much I get exploded by barrels, but let's go. We're shopping. We're having fun. Less cooldown time. I didn't even bother to look at any of these. Oh, no. Too far. Demons remain frozen for longer. I think I've, in a panic many times, gone, why didn't you stay frozen? 8 left. All of these would have been so amazing, and I did not look at any of this. I'm great. I don't really care about that one. Oh. Only get 3 at a time? I understand that now. Okay, I didn't understand that either this whole game. GG's. I didn't have to be in the ship to do it, but it was more fun to do it here. Oh, I'm so sad to leave our little ship. I love our little ship. Such a good little ship. It's our little Gundam Wing cathedral ship. It makes me happy. Don't want to leave it. Okay, I'm over it. I guess. I'm over it. No, I was playing without them because I genuinely didn't know where to look for them. I still don't know what to do with the Sentinel crystals or Sentinel batteries, but it's somewhere in the ship, I think. But I don't feel like looking for it. I don't feel like that's the most important thing in the world. The other things probably would have helped and been good choices. But I didn't know I could do that. Today we learned Necraval. Oh shit. It does not look cold in there. Oh dang. There's upgrade tokens hidden in the ship behind doors that require batteries. Ah, we'll find them next time. Next time on Serena actually figures out a game versus panicking and disassociating. Is he like alive or just like a feature? I don't like that. I like it over here though. It's like a very yassified Doom 3. The entrance to hell is similar. Probably should be using a different gun for all of us. Hey, the spider guys are back. What up, spider friends? Why aren't you just a bitch? Roger Dodger. No BFG cells. Okay, well, you know, you can stop shooting at me for a minute. No acid. None of that. I'm dead. I'm toast. I'm roasted, I'm toasted, I'm done fors. And it was a firefight! There's another one of you! Oh man, that's not cool. That's not cool at all. Stop spitting things, that's not nice. Didn't your mommy teach you? Is there anyone to chainsaw? No. I have not done myself a service. At all. Shit. That was not how to do that. Bloop, 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 bloop. Boop. That was pretty decent for you if I can avoid the acids. Burn your friends, not me. Was it even worth it to do it that way? I don't know. I feel like probably no. Oh, I have the sword. I didn't know we like perma get it. That's excite. That's hype. Green means go. Or red means dead. But I feel like there's something around the corner of all of that. Haha, there is. Unlock. Bouncy, bouncy, bouncy. Oop, I got booped in the butt. I got booped. Excuse me. Fancied meeting you here. Rude. I get like a split tiny piece of time. What? 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 Shit. What are you asking of me? Ah! Where am I even going? What? Excuse me? It's not a climbing wall. No. What? Let's try that again. Pardon, what? Oh, I don't think we go under that. That looks dangerous. Oh, that's a thing. At like the tiniest little baby bit health. Not really. It's like a third health. It's not terrible. It could be worse. And this could also be better. It's not doing anything to him. Oh my god, there we go. Christ. Give it, you stinky. Oops. Should chainsawed something. I fucked up. Still not sure where Doom Guy is putting all those crystals to receive the upgrades. I don't want to know. Yeah, I mean, maybe we just have a really big backpack, you know? It's a big Labor Day barbecue grill. It sure is. You can make Serena shish kebabs on there. My goodness. Is that even where we came in? Yes. It's cool. That's really neat. That'd be cool as like a drink cart. Getting decorative and Doom here. Yeah. Sure. Battle through the Soul Factory. Does that mean it's a dance battle? Soul Train. Did I go through the wrong part of the floor? Oh, stairs. Oh, you get big health now. Or maybe it's been 175able. But I've only, last time I looked, it only got up to 150. I don't know what you are, but you look fun. Did I make a challenge? Music started. That's bad. That's bad with a side of bad. Did I make that happen? Shit. How do you still hit me if I'm bouncy? Oh, you're here too. Hello. Hello. Hellos. I don't have any more sword, I don't think. Dang. Dang. You can chainsaw, I think, yes. I never think I can chainsaw him. He looks too difficult, I think just because he shoots fire. But he's just a little guy. He's just a little guy. Ghostbusters! Or not. The concept, the theory, the practice. You went to headbutt me. Are they actually zombies and not demons? Did a weird wonky zombie headbutt. Oh, I could have gotten more goodies. And I just did not. GG's, Serena. It's a temporary buff, the purple thing I picked up. Oh, I thought I made bad things happen. It's Doom. Pardon my paranoia. I'm guessing we go in the green teleporter. Scanning, scanning.
Here the humans arrive from Earth, waiting to be selected for the process.
Well, that's disturbing. It's quite disturbing. It's a few minutes after midnight. We got a couple minutes to try and figure out what the name of the game is in here. But we'll be shutting down shortly. Did I just jump down? That looks bleak. Today's been a long one, and I gotta do a crap ton of laundry, crap ton of uploads, basically a crap ton of everything. Because I will have no time tomorrow on my day off, because I have crap that needs to be done. Too many appointments tomorrow. I'm gonna be watching her on the camera the whole time I'm gone. Like, please don't be spawning babies while I'm not home. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Shit. Am I in lava? Is there floor there? Oh, there's floor everywhere. Why did I think there wasn't? Because it doesn't look floory. Eek. Where did our other little buddy go? No more that. Level up! Doom level 9. Something is opening somewhere. It's just the chains making noise. Do we follow that? Green means go? I don't know. Does that stop the chains? I don't know what that did. I don't know what you are. What you do. What you represent. Oh. It opens the weird side door. Stuff and things. Oh, it's a punchy. It's a punchy boy, it is. Oh, only one punch. Oh. Oh. Huh? Uh-oh. How? Huh? I don't jump on. What the? My brain can no longer comprehend things. I'm stuck. I put myself in here. I don't know how to get out of it. Oh, that's funny. It's so stupid. I don't know what that has to do with shit. I guess you're way uppy? I don't know. Let's do a baby bit of gymnastics, and I was just gonna leave myself in here for the night, to be honest. I'm impressed that I even figured that out. I don't think that's gonna be fast enough. Oh, 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 you awkward little sloot. My curiosity has gotten the better of me, thank you very much. No! I'm too tired for this. One more go. I could fall asleep right now in 5 minutes if I close my eyes. That's terrible. My theory on different caffeine did not quite play out. Oh, okay. You are a problem for another day, Serena. What is even up there? Like, do we even need to get up there? I guess so. Yeah. That's okay. You are correct. It was a punch, then shoot through the other door, and then run around to the side and jump on top of it, and then there's a climbing wall above it that we'll need to jump on next time. We can do it. Let's see. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Tomorrow is Serena Day. And then Thursday, unless we have puppies, little shittens, we'll have True Crime Thursday. Do some H.H. Holmes. We'll be back at it on Friday. Fuck around and find out on a Friday. I wish Serena Days were for Serena. So it's just for stuff Serena has to do, and I don't want to do them. I don't want to. I just don't. I want to cancel everything with like the excuse of like, oh, I need to watch the cat, but it's stuff that has to be done. And then it's just gonna be more stuff to do if I don't do it after the shittens are born, and I don't want to have a bunch of stuff to do after the shittens are born. And hop on one foot while singing Chumbawamba while fighting the boss. I got knocked down. Falls. And I get up again. Falls. You're never gonna take me down. Falls. It's exactly how it's gonna go. Oh. That's gonna be my new Scream in the Car song. The new Doom anthem. The new Scream in the Car song. I'm here for it. I'm really glad that crawled back into my brain. It was something beautiful I was missing that I didn't even know I was missing. Didn't know I needed it until I had it again. That's love. That's dramatic. I'm tired. I am a tired girl. She's been very chill today. So hopefully tonight will not be a kitten night. And my brain can let me get some sleep. I feel like I'm gonna crash hard tonight. And that would be good. Tomorrow will be okay though. I have physical therapy tomorrow. Physical therapy is weird but interesting, but it's literally like zero effort. Like I do nothing other than like lay there and relax different ways. It's not bad. It could only be better if I was like getting a massage at the same time. Well, that'll be okay. I just don't want to drive to it. It's like a 40-minute drive. Happy day. It's okay. And find out what kind of squirmy wormies, if any, the little one has tomorrow. And super not fun. If she does have any worms, I was informed today that the kittens will be born with them. And they can't be dewormed until they're like 3 weeks. So that'll be a very, very messy first couple of weeks. And that's okay. Better to know than not know, right? I feel like I could trick my insurance into thinking physical therapy was getting massaged. I mean, I think chiropractor visits are covered with... What is it? The word. Covered under insurance. Or they should be? No, it's kind of like a massage. I guess depending on the chiropractor. I don't know. My uncle's a chiropractor and he's very much like just a technical, like, I'm going to put your back into place person versus like, I know a couple of people in the chiropractor field that have done physical therapy also, and they kind of incorporate the two together. So like after like working something weird out in your back, you get like kind of like a little bit of like a, I don't know, release muscle tension. Not necessarily a massage, but it doesn't feel as bad as getting intensely worked on. I don't know. Unless I'm just giving her head pats, if I'm touching anything in her little thing, I'm wearing gloves. And I put on little booties, little feet covers that I got for when, I don't know, for Diesel, for Ringo, for Slavka, for someone, for anyone, for something. No, some of it isn't very scientific because, like, despite all of that, my uncle has a license in acupuncture too, and he does that, and I feel like that's very contradictory. I think he only did it to make it seem like he cares. I don't know. I don't know how that works. I know some fields, if you do continued education, you make more money. Like, my godmother has done as much continued education as for a teacher as possible, and she makes as much as the principal because of that. I don't know how that works out, but it does. I mean, it's still like a shit salary, but it's more than the average teacher salary, which is good. Tonight was fun. Troublesome. Oh, baby. Baby, it's okay. It's okay. I'm here. I'm here. It's okay. I know, Chauncey had a night terror. Poor baby. Poor baby boy. He had a nightmare. He had a little nightmare. Poor bud. Your brother had a nightmare. She's like, but what about me? What about me and all of my attention? Time to watch Spirit. Watch ponies, not have bad dreams with our eyes closed. Day nice. Day nice. It's dinner time and nice times. Yes. It's been a long week, sister, and it's only Tuesday. It's Only Tuesday. She's so little. She has such a cute little face. Little baby head. Like her head's as big as an apple. She's so small. Why are you so small? Why do the cats keep getting smaller and the dogs keep getting bigger? What is going on here? Does my face taste good? Your tongue is so rough. You're so rough. Little Professor, that was your first name. You've had many names. Sometimes you even have some extra super fun names when you're being a little biscuit. You had to leave my arms to crawl in my lap. Come here. Come on. What are you doing? Acro cat. She needs to be in the arm of the chair and lick my arm. No free buttholes, girl. What are you doing? Professor Meownigal? She says what? Meow. Okay, bye. Thank you all for a wonderful night. You licking my paws? Okay then. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your chats. Thank you for your support. Thank you more than anything for your time. Your time is very valuable. Please do not ever forget that. It is a rare thing to come up with some free time. And whether it's 2 seconds, 2 minutes, 2 hours, if I don't see you again for 2 years, when our times collide is beautiful, magical, amazing, and incredible. And I appreciate it very, very much. You can make more money, you can make more friends, you can make more Sharpies, you can make more chapstick. This is the Supreme chapstick, by the way, the Black Label chapstick brand chapstick. But you cannot make more time, so thank you so much for yours. You guys want to keep up with me offline, hop into the Disky Boo. Otherwise, we got the fun stuff. The socials. Some more fun stuff. And the schedule for when I will see you bebs next. Thank you all for supporting the Stream the Dreams project. It means the world to me. We do good stuff, Club Cult. We do good stuff. Oh, I leveled up. Look at that. I'm so cool. And if you have not yet today, put in the pre-nom submission for the 2026 AVNs. I would appreciate your vote. And then you got a cool little sticker in your mind and in your heart and in your soul that says, I voted. Sargenics, you're awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Going for the pre-nom for your fave cosplayer, who is, I think, doing a pretty dang good job at cosplaying as Awake here. Pretty proud of that. Thanks for the stream. Thanks for being a part of the stream. You guys make the magic happen. I just show up and provide the cute little kit. You guys pick up the hat and the wand and I don't know, whatever else is in a magic kit and make the magic happen. Club Cult is getting magic kits for Christmas. It's settled. Do me one favor before I see you all next, and that is, I'm not going to beat you up, I promise. Remember that you are wonderful, amazing, incredible, spectacular, fantastic, phenomenal, oh so gorgeous, and all the good things in the world. Take all those compliments and put them in your back pocket, your side pocket, your cute little hoodie pocket, your adorable little shirt pocket, floating in suspended animation, or wherever it needs to go until I see you next, you sweet bubbos. Have a beautiful rest of your night, and some good eeps, some good eats, some good sleepies. I shall see you all soon.
I just need to acquire, so I've been climbing up this ladder. Yes, I'm going up higher. I need to do it till the day that I might retire.